I used to be the envy of everyone, the president's wife of the Anderson Group. Everyone said I was lucky to marry Ethan, until I saw him with my own eyes trying on the shoes I had ordered for another woman, and personally giving her the wedding ring his mother left for me. I calmly withdrew. Did he think I would cry and beg? Later, I stood at the peak, watching the Anderson Group go bankrupt under my own hand, leaving him with nothing. He knelt on the ground and begged me. I only left him an old house and a trust fund to ensure his basic living. This was my repayment to his mother, and my final act of mercy towards him. Those shoes were Italian handmade custom crystal high heels, a global limited edition of 3 pairs. I booked them 6 months in advance. The designer personally measured my feet, and every detail was made according to my preferences. I was drinking coffee in the VIP lounge on the top floor of Anderson Department Store. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows was the bustling street scene of Manhattan. My assistant Aiden was downstairs confirming some operating data. As a director of the Anderson Group, I routinely inspect the group's properties every month. Today was supposed to be a peaceful day, until I saw Ethan on the surveillance screen in the lounge. He wasn't alone. A young woman was nestled beside him, Chloe, the name that had clung to my life like a maggot on a bone for the past year. They walked into the shoe store I had reserved. That store only accepts reservations and clears the store during the reserved time slot. Right now, it should have been my exclusive time. On the screen, Ethan was half squatting, carefully slipping the crystal shoe onto Chloe's foot. She smiled charmingly, leaning back slightly, almost against his chest. Ethan looked up at her, his eyes so tender that they could drip water. My coffee got cold. The shop assistant stood aside with a professional smile on his face, but there was a hint of subtle awkwardness in his eyes. Mr. Ethan, these shoes are Mrs. Eleanor's reserved pair. The shop assistant's voice came faintly through the screen. Ethan's smile stiffened for a moment, but quickly returned to normal. It's okay, I can buy them. Chloe didn't seem to hear clearly, or she heard but didn't care. She just shook her ankle, the crystal refracting a dazzling light. Darling, so beautiful. I love it. Buy it if you like it. Ethan stood up and looked at the clerk. Wrap it up. My heart lake is calm, as if watching a silent film that has nothing to do with me. I picked up my coffee and took a sip. The cold liquid slid down my throat, like my mood at the moment. Aiden came back and saw me staring at the screen, following my line of sight. His eyes narrowed, and he immediately understood. Do you need me to go down and handle it, Eleanor? Aiden asked, his tone laced with a hint of concern. I shook my head and put down my coffee cup. No need. I'll go take a look. I walked towards the elevator, the sound of my heels clicking against the floor echoing in the silent hallway. Each step was like stepping on the wreckage of my past 5 years of marriage. Walking into the shoe store, the air was filled with the scent of new leather and perfume. Ethan and Chloe were standing at the checkout counter, the crystal shoes already packed in a box. Eleanor. Ethan saw me, his expression a little unnatural, but he quickly forced a smile. What brings you here? Store inspection. I replied calmly, my eyes on the shoebox. These shoes. Oh, this? Ethan seemed relieved, as if he had found an explanation. Chloe liked them very much, so I bought them for her. Don't you have a lot of shoes? Chloe hooked her arm around Ethan's and gave me a sweet smile. Sister Eleanor, these shoes are so beautiful. Thank you for letting them go. Letting them go? I almost laughed out loud. This is my thing. Blatantly snatched away. And then they say I'm letting them go? I walked to the shoebox and reached out to touch the smooth surface of the shoe. My fingertips could feel the coldness of the crystal. Yes, I have a lot of shoes. I looked up at Chloe, my eyes calm. But this pair is different. It's custom made according to my foot shape and preferences. It might not fit others. Chloe's smile froze. Ethan frowned. Eleanor, it's just a pair of shoes. Yes, it's just a pair of shoes. I withdrew my hand and looked at Ethan. Anderson Department Store is your family /s business. You can buy whatever you want for whoever you want. I just think that some things can't be bought with money. I didn't pester, didn't argue, didn't even raise my voice. I just stated a fact. Then, I turned around and said to the sales assistant, let me know when you have new models. Walking out of the shoe store, I heard Chloe complaining softly inside. What does she mean? Being so sarcastic. Ethan's voice sounded a little annoyed. Okay, stop talking. I hooked the corner of my lips. Doesn't fit? More than just shoes. Some people shouldn't have entered my life from the start. Back home, an unfamiliar perfume filled the villa. On the sofa in the living room, My cashmere coat was thrown. I went upstairs and pushed open the door to the master bedroom. Chloe was wearing my silk pajamas, sitting in front of the dressing table, spraying perfume on her neck. On her hand was the wedding ring that Ethan's mother had left for me. That ring was of extraordinary significance, a token passed down in the Anderson family. Ethan's mother personally handed it to me before her death, instructing me to keep it safe. I stood at the door, not making a sound. Chloe saw me in the mirror, startled so badly that she almost dropped the perfume bottle in her hand. "Sister Eleanor," she said, frantically trying to hide the ring on her hand. "You're wearing my pajamas," I said calmly. "Oh, Ethan said you weren't home, and I didn't have any clothes to wear after my shower." Her explanation sounded weak and unconvincing. "You are wearing my ring," I continued, my voice without a trace of emotion. Now, Chloe was completely speechless, just clutching her hands tightly. Ethan heard the noise and walked in. When he saw this scene, his expression changed. "Eleanor, you're back," he said, trying to ease the atmosphere. "Yes, I am back." I walked into the room, went to the dressing table, and picked up my pajamas. These pajamas are very comfortable, custom-made Italian silk, but it's a pity that they are now tainted with someone else's scent. I threw the pajamas into the trash can. Chloe's face flushed red and then white. "Eleanor," Ethan's voice was angry. "What are you doing? She just wore your clothes." "Wore it for a bit?" I turned around and looked at Ethan, my eyes devoid of anger, only filled with cold scrutiny. "Ethan, you let her wear my pajamas, wear the ring my mother left me, you brought her to our bedroom. Do you think everything I have, including me, is just something Zhou Chong'an bestowed upon me?" Ethan's expression became even more unpleasant when he heard Zhou Chong'an. He doesn't like me calling him by his full name, especially when he's done something wrong. "Eleanor, don't make a scene." He walked towards me, wanting to take my hand. I dodged to the side. "Making a fuss?" I repeated the word, as if hearing a funny joke. "Ethan, I'm not making a fuss, I'm just stating the facts. From the moment you let her wear my pajamas and let her wear my mother's ring, you've already crossed the line." "So what?" Ethan raised his voice, infuriated by my calmness. "What do you think you are? Everything you have now, what wasn't given to you by me?" This sentence was like a sharp knife, piercing deeply into my heart. Yeah, what do I have? I once had nothing. It was the aura of the Anderson family that enveloped me. It was Ethan who gave me a rich life and gave me the identity of a director. I looked at his face contorted with anger, and at Chloe shivering behind him, and suddenly felt that everything was meaningless. "You're right," I said softly, my tone unbelievably calm. Ethan was stunned, seemingly not expecting me to answer like that. "I really have nothing that wasn't given to me by you." I looked around at the luxurious bedroom, the closet full of luxury goods, the luxury cars downstairs. "So, since you feel these are all your charity, then I don't want them." I walked to the cloakroom and took out a small suitcase. It contained only a few simple changes of clothes and some important documents. "Eleanor, what are you doing?" Ethan finally panicked. "Leaving." I zipped up the suitcase and looked at him. "Ethan, I'm tired. I can't maintain this marriage anymore." "Leave? Where are you going?" He stepped forward to stop me. "I'm going to a place without you." I walked around him and headed for the door. "No, Eleanor, you can't go." Ethan grabbed my arm. "Let go." My voice was soft, but with an undeniable coldness. He pinched me painfully, but I didn't struggle. I just looked at him, my eyes like looking at a stranger. "Ethan," I said, "think about your mother. She wants us to be okay." Mentioning his mother, Ethan's grip loosened a bit. "Mrs. Chiao, his deceased mother, was the only warmth I had in this marriage. She gave me my name, my original name was not Eleanor, helped me escape my abusive father, supported my marriage to Ethan, and even entrusted me with shares and a directorship in the Anderson Group before her death, asking me to assist Ethan. She hoped that I could be Ethan's support and that I would not give up on him easily. I used to think that for Mrs. Chiao's entrustment, for that kindness, I could endure everything. But now I realize that once some bottom lines are crossed, even the deepest kindness cannot fill the cracks." I broke free from his hand, pulled my suitcase, and left the villa without looking back. It's drizzling outside, and I'm standing by the road, the rain wetting my hair. I didn't call a car, just wandered aimlessly. Images from high school flashed through my mind. Back then, my name was Jane, and I was a poor student, living on scholarships and part-time jobs. Ethan was a notorious playboy, skipping classes, fighting, and having the worst grades. To improve the college entrance rate, the school launched a mutual aid program pairing excellent students with struggling ones. I was assigned to tutor Ethan. Initially, he didn't cooperate at all, skipping classes and asking me out. I refused, saying I needed the money from this part-time job. He probably found it novel that someone in the world would reject his invitation just for money. He began to be interested in me. He stopped skipping classes, but he didn't study either, just sitting next to me, watching me solve problems, watching me write. Sometimes he would ask strange questions, like, "Why do you always wear that old coat?" Or "What do you like?" I told him that I like to study and like to change my destiny by myself. I said my dream is to get into a top university. After hearing that, he suddenly said, "If you get into X university, I'll pursue you." I thought he was joking. X University is one of the best universities in the United States, and with his grades, it was impossible. "Okay," I said casually at the time. "If you can get into X University, I'll consider it." In the days that followed, he was a changed man. He started listening attentively in class, chasing after me with questions after class, and even hired a tutor. His grades improved rapidly, shocking everyone. The day the college entrance examination results came out, he rushed to me as soon as possible, with unprecedented pride and expectation on his face. "Jane, I got in X University." Looking at the envelope in his hand with the X University acceptance letter printed on it, my heart was filled with mixed feelings. He fulfilled his promise. I fulfilled my promise. We got together. During his 4 years at X University, he was the center of attention, openly expressing his love, sending flowers and gifts, and cherishing me. I was busy with my studies, participating in various competitions, and winning scholarships. He never complained and just silently supported me. On the eve of graduation, he meticulously planned a grand proposal. In front of the iconic building of X University, he knelt on one knee, holding a sparkling diamond ring. He said, "Jane, marry me. I want to spend my life with you and give you the best life." I said yes. At that moment, I felt like the happiest person in the world. I changed my name to Eleanor, a name given to me by Ms. Chiao. She said Eleanor means light, hoping my future would be full of brightness. We got married, and the wedding was grand and dreamy. I thought my life would be smooth sailing from now on, forever surrounded by love and happiness. I walked to the old apartment building we used to rent. It retains my earliest traces and is where our love began. I looked up at the familiar window on the 3rd floor, and memories flooded in like a tide. Those sweet moments, those vows of eternal love, that future we painted together. How did it become like this now? Has everything changed, or has he never really grown up? The next morning, my phone kept ringing. It was Ethan. I didn't answer. Aiden sent a message. "The Anderson Group's public relations department is contacting you, saying Mr. Ethan wants to talk to you." I replied, "No." Not long after, Ethan's phone call came again. This time it was to Aiden, and then transferred to me. "Eleanor, where are you?" He sounded anxious. "You didn't come home last night." I was very worried. "I'm fine." My tone was cold. "Listen to me, Eleanor. I was wrong about last night. Chloe, she's just a thoughtless child. I won't let her appear in front of you again in the future." He explained anxiously. "A child who doesn't understand? A woman who can brazenly wear my pajamas and my ring is a child who doesn't understand?" "Ethan," I interrupted him, "do you know what the problem is?" "I know. I shouldn't have let her use your things. Shouldn't have been intimate with her in front of you." "No, that's not the key," I said. "The key is, you have no sense of boundaries, you have no sense of responsibility, and you don't even have the slightest ability to take responsibility for what you do." I took the blame. I drove her away. I gave her money. He seemed to think he had made a huge sacrifice. I felt a wave of helplessness. He will never understand the essence of the problem. He thinks he can solve everything with money and fix the marriage by driving away the mistress. "Ethan," I sighed, "safety hazard." "What?" He was puzzled. "You bring different women home, letting them use my personal belongings at will, even entering our bedroom." I said, "Have you ever considered the security risks this poses? What if they are harmful to me? What if they steal important documents? This isn't just about cheating. It's about being irresponsible for my safety and the safety of the entire family." He was silent. He had never considered it from this perspective. He probably just thought I was making a fuss or making excuses. "Eleanor, I'll pay attention in the future. Really, Can you come back? Let's talk properly. His voice had a hint of pleading. There's nothing to talk about, I said. Aiden is already preparing the divorce papers. A cry of surprise came from the other end of the phone. Divorce? Ethan_'s voice instantly became sharp. Eleanor, are you crazy? You want to divorce over this little thing? It_s not a small thing, I said. It_s the last straw that broke the camel_'s back. I won't sign. I will never get a divorce, he roared. I hung up the phone. I thought he would come to me and apologize, but I underestimated his immaturity and vindictiveness. After learning that I was going to get a divorce, Ethan immediately started his acting up journey. He and Chloe appeared ostentatiously at various occasions, arm in arm, with bright smiles. They attended parties together, went shopping together, and even went to the movies together. Then, these photos and videos were posted on X and Instagram, accompanied by various ambiguous texts. President and his wife's relationship broke down. Mistress taking over? Eleanor's aloof persona collapsed. Anderson's president seeking a new love? Insiders reveal that Eleanor cheated during the marriage. The president had no choice but to let go? For a time, the internet was full of discussions, and various speculations were rife. Anderson Group's stock price plummeted in response. This is Ethan's revenge. He knows I value the reputation of the Anderson Group the most. He knows I don't want Ms. Chiao's hard work to be tarnished. He wants to use public opinion to force me to submit, to force me to give up the idea of divorce. I sat in the office, looking at the public opinion report that Aiden had prepared for me. Black was being portrayed as white, white was being portrayed as black, and all kinds of slanders and libels were overwhelming. Eleanor, do we need to send a lawyer's letter? Aiden asked. Issue it, I said. Simultaneously activate the public relations emergency plan, clarify the facts, and control the direction of public opinion. After dealing with the external crisis, internal problems began to emerge. The shareholders of the Anderson Group were restless. They had long been dissatisfied with me, this outsider, and now seeing Ethan causing such a big mess and the stock price falling, they seized the opportunity to attack me. In the boardroom, Joe Ben, Ethan's half-brother, that illegitimate child, looked at me with a sneer. Eleanor, board member, he said sarcastically, the group is now facing an unprecedented crisis. Public opinion is in an uproar, and the stock price has plummeted. As a board member, do you have any countermeasures? Or are you only concerned with dealing with your own family affairs? Joe Ben had always coveted the position of president of the Anderson Group, and this was his good opportunity. I replied calmly, Mr. Joe Ben, I will handle the group's crisis. As for my family affairs, they are irrelevant to the group. Irrelevant? He laughed mockingly. The president's wife is getting a divorce from the president and is also having an affair with another man. You call that irrelevant to the group? The entire market is laughing at the Anderson Group. I took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in my heart. Mr. Joe Ben, please watch your words. Regarding my private life, I can assure you it is completely clean. Clean? Those photos on X and Instagram say otherwise. He pressed closer. Public opinion can be manipulated, I said. If you have any constructive suggestions for the group's operations, you are welcome to make them. If not, please do not engage in personal attacks here. The board meeting ended, and I felt exhausted. Ethan's antics, Joe Ben's provocations, the shareholders' wait-and-see attitude. I have too much to face alone. I called Ethan. There's an important business dinner tonight, and you have to be there. I'm not going. He refused without even thinking. Ethan, this is for the sake of the Anderson Group's image, I said patiently. What about the Anderson Group? What does it have to do with you? He sneered. Aren't you divorcing me? Aren't you refusing everything I give you? Then why do you care about the Anderson Group? I was silent. Eleanor, his tone became somewhat smug again. As long as you don't divorce, I might consider attending, but if you insist on divorce, then I'll show you what the Anderson Group will become without you. He actually threatened me with this. My heart was completely cold. The boy who worked so hard to get into X university for me had completely disappeared. Replacing him was a spoiled, selfish, childish man who only knew how to use hurt and threats to achieve his goals. Okay, I said, I understand. I hung up the phone and looked out at the gloomy sky. I've really had enough. I don't need to protect the family business of a man who doesn't love me, doesn't respect me, and even tries to ruin my reputation anymore. I've done my best to repay Mrs. Chiao's kindness. I can no longer trap myself in this decaying marriage. I called Aiden over. Inform everyone. Cancel tonight's dinner. Cancel? Aiden was a little surprised. Yes, I said. Also, prepare the documents for all the shares of Anderson Group under my name, ready to be sold at any time. Eleanor, are you sure? Aiden knew what this meant. Once I sold the shares, the equity structure of Anderson Group would undergo a huge change, and Jobin would likely take the opportunity to acquire them and fight for control. Okay, I said. And also, help me book a ticket to Italy. The sooner, the better. I need to get away from here, away from everything, and give myself a vacation. Half a month later, I returned to New York. I didn't go back to the villa, but checked into a hotel in the city center. Aiden reported the situation to me. After you left, Mr. Ethan became even more high profile, almost trending with Chloe every day. Anderson Group's stock price continued to fall, and several important cooperation projects were also affected. What about the shareholders? I asked. Mr. Jobin has already begun to privately contact some small shareholders, trying to acquire their shares, Aiden said. It seems he can't wait any longer. Has the news of our divorce been released? I asked. It has been released, Aiden said. According to your plan, it was released anonymously, first appearing in some small media outlets to test the market's reaction. How is the market reaction? Not good. Aiden hesitated for a moment. The public opinion is more unfavorable to you. Everyone thinks that you cheated during the marriage and abandoned Mr. Ethan. I smiled. It's okay. It's to be expected. Ethan probably thought he could force me to give in this way. He doesn't know that I've completely let go. I asked Aiden to help me prepare some flowers and fruit, and then I went to the cemetery. I stood in front of Mrs. Chiao's tombstone, looking at her gentle smile in the photo. Miss Chiao, I said softly, I've come to see you. I reported to her about my life these years, my career, my marriage. I talked about Ethan's various behaviors, and about my decision to divorce. You once hoped that I would not give up on him easily, I said. I tried. I really tried. I remember your kindness to me, and I remember your instructions to me. You helped me change my name, gave me a new identity, and helped me get rid of my father's shadow. You supported me to marry Ethan, entrusted the Anderson Group to me, hoping that I could take care of him. I choked up. But, Mrs. Chiao, I looked at the photo on the tombstone. He has changed. Or rather, he never really grew up. He doesn't know how to cherish, doesn't know how to be responsible. He hurt me and tried to ruin me. I can't go on like this anymore. Rest assured. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. I won't let your efforts be in vain. I will handle the Anderson Group properly. As for Ethan, I will also give him an explanation. After returning from the cemetery, I went directly to the Anderson Group headquarters. I didn't notify Ethan in advance and went directly to his office. He was sitting at his desk, looking at the computer screen with a frustrated expression. Chloe was sitting on the sofa next to him, playing with her phone. Ethan was stunned to see me come in. Chloe was also startled. Eleanor, Ethan stood up. You're back? Yes. I walked forward and placed a document on his desk. What is this? He picked up the document and opened the first page. Divorce agreement, I said. His face turned pale instantly. You really want a divorce? Yes. My tone was firm. Sign it. No, I won't sign. He threw the documents back onto the desk. Eleanor, I told you I'm not getting a divorce. Haven't you made enough trouble? I'm not making trouble, I said. Ethan, there's no affection between us anymore. Continuing like this is torture for both of us. I don't believe it. You still love me, right? You're just angry. He stepped forward and grabbed my arm. Eleanor, I know I was wrong. Please come back. Let's start over. I looked at him, my eyes as calm as a stagnant pool. Start over? Ethan, you can't even give me the most basic respect. Do you think there's any chance for us to start over? I give you respect. I give you everything, he said eagerly. What you are giving me now. I pointed to the divorce agreement on the table. Is this? No, I won't sign it. He stubbornly shook his head. I looked at him, knowing he was making his last struggle. Ethan, I said calmly, I'm giving you 24 hours to consider. At this time tomorrow, if you still haven't signed, I'll do two things. He looked at me nervously. First, I said, I will sell all the Anderson Group shares under my name. Who are you going to sell them to? He exclaimed. I'll sell to the highest bidder. I said calmly, maybe it's Jobin, maybe it's someone else. In short, I won't keep a single share. His face turned even uglier. He knew that once I sold my shares, his position as president would be in jeopardy. Second, I said, I will immediately file for divorce in court. At that time, everything will be made public. Your affairs, your scandals, will all be placed under a magnifying glass. I looked at him and said, word by word, Ethan, you choose. Sign the divorce decently, or make a scene and ruin your reputation. I didn't look at him again, and turned to leave the office. I thought my ultimatum would sober him up and make him sign obediently, but I underestimated his childishness and extremism again. That night, I received a call from Aiden. Eleanor, something happened. Aiden's voice was filled with panic. What's wrong? I asked. Mr. Ethan. He had a car accident while speeding. I rushed to the hospital, the air filled with the smell of disinfectant. Ethan was lying in the hospital bed, his head wrapped in bandages, and his arms and legs had varying degrees of abrasions. Chloe sat by the bed, sobbing. Seeing me come in, Ethan's eyes lit up, seemingly with a hint of anticipation. Eleanor, you're here. His voice was weak. Chloe saw me, her eyes a little complicated, but she still stood up and called out, Sister Eleanor. I walked to the bedside and looked at Ethan. What are you doing? I asked, my tone so calm that it was impossible to discern any emotion. Ethan paused. I just wanted to clear my head. I didn't expect to have a car accident. I finished for him, with not a trace of sympathy in my eyes. Or are you saying that you thought this would make me soften and come back to you? His face froze. Ethan, I looked at him, like looking at a stranger and familiar patient. You are 30 years old, not a 3-year-old child. Do you think you can salvage anything with this kind of self-inflicted suffering? I sat on the chair beside the bed, looking at him, and began to list our marriage over the years. Do you remember? In the first year of our marriage, I was hospitalized, but you went out drinking with friends, and in the end, Aiden took me to the hospital. Do you remember? I stayed up late working overtime for the Anderson Group's project, and you stayed out all night, returning the next morning with a body full of alcohol, without even a word of concern. Do you remember? After Mrs. Chow passed away, I took on the responsibility of a director alone, helping you manage the group's affairs, but you were out there indulging in pleasure and knew nothing about the group's affairs. Do you think I don't know? Your so-called social engagements, your confidants. I just chose to turn a blind eye, because I thought you would eventually grow up and understand what responsibility is, what family is, but you didn't. I looked at him, my eyes filled with disappointment. You live in your own world forever, only consider your own feelings, only pursue temporary happiness. You take my efforts for granted and treat my patience as weakness. Your mother entrusted you to me, hoping I would take care of you, but I found that I can't take care of you at all, because you simply don't want to grow up and don't want to be responsible. This car accident is your last childish performance. I said, I won't be soft-hearted for you anymore. Ethan, our marriage ends here. I stood up and looked at Chloe. Miss Chloe, I hope you can find someone who truly knows how to cherish you in the future. Then, I looked at Ethan. Sign it. This is the last bit of decency for both of us. Ethan looked at me, his eyes changing from expectation to shock, and then to despair. He probably never thought that I would be so calm, so completely dissecting him, denying him. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but ultimately no sound came out. With a trembling hand, he picked up the pen on the table and signed his name on the last page of the divorce agreement. My name, Eleanor Anderson. His name, Ethan Anderson. From this moment on, we are no longer husband and wife. 6 months later, I left the Anderson Group. I used the money from selling my shares, plus my own savings, to start a new company. With the experience and connections I accumulated at the Anderson Group, my new company grew rapidly and quickly gained a foothold in the market. After Ethan took over the Anderson Group, he mismanaged it, facing internal and external difficulties. The shareholders took the opportunity to attack, and partners withdrew their investments one after another. The group's stock price plummeted. I heard that Chloe lost her original resources and backing and became worthless because of the business contraction of the Anderson Group. She went to the front desk of the Anderson Group and acted shamelessly, wanting to ask Ethan for money, but was kicked out by the security guards. 3 years later, Anderson Group officially declared bankruptcy. The once glorious business empire collapsed before my eyes. I sat in the car, watching Ethan move out of our former villa. His hair was messy, and his face was tired and numb. He was only carrying an old box, which probably contained all his remaining possessions. Everything he once had, status, wealth, and reputation, had vanished into nothing. I got out of the car and walked up to him. He saw me, a flash of surprise in his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by numbness. "Eleanor." He called my name, his voice devoid of the arrogance and resentment of the past. Only fatigue remained. "Ethan," I said, "Mrs. Chow really likes this house. This villa was personally designed by Mrs. Chow, and she spent the last years of her life here." "I know." He lowered his head. "I have already transferred this house to your name," I said. "In addition, I have established a trust fund to ensure you have a worry-free basic life in the future." He suddenly looked up, a hint of confusion and complexity in his eyes. "Why?" he asked. "For Mrs. Chow," I said. "This is my final repayment for her kindness. It's also my final explanation for this relationship. I was once her daughter-in-law, and she once gave me warmth and support. I can't watch her son end up on the streets." "Eleanor," he looked at me, a complex emotion surging in his eyes, with regret, gratitude, and incomprehension. "I won't come again," I said. "Take care of yourself." I turned around and walked towards my car. The sunlight shone on me, warm and bright. Ahead lies my new company, my new life, my bright future. I won't look back again.